People in the Old Farm District know if they are not on septic, they know somebody that is, and this will be an update. So we're going to do some question and answer period, and I think that's it.
Yeah, great.
So.
Okay, thank you very much. This is a great turnout. Thanks for coming out tonight. I'm Susanna Jolber. I'm a policy analyst at the city, and I also manage a few projects, and I'm managing the Bend Septic to Sewer Solutions project. I have a lot of help. Let's see, I'll introduce folks here. We've got Justin Livingston. He's city councilor from the east side. He's the council liaison to the project. Justin Mason, who's part of the Dow consulting team, doing the engineering and public involvement and managing the whole thing. Skip Martin is right next to him, and he is in our city engineering department, and he's doing the engineering work and review on this. Let's see, who else have we got? Ron Hand, who is with Dow, and he's doing the public outreach and helping us with the project. You probably all know Ron from his work on the Southeast Interceptor outreach, and he's going to be talking a little bit later in our presentation. I've also got, let's see, who am I missing? Our chairs and co-chair of our advisory committee on the project, Beth Ann Bicknays and Scott Johnson. They're sitting over there. You'll hear from them in a little bit. And I think in the room we've got quite a few advisory committee members. You guys are welcome to stand up if you'd like to. I don't know if you want to show your neighbors that you're on the committee or not. I don't know, we can do that later. Okay, there's Frank Turek and Cheryl O'Donnell in the back, and we've got Jen Van Camp is here too. So anyway, just wanted to introduce folks. Did I miss anybody, Ron?
That I'm aware of.
I'm going to speak up. It's a big room. Okay, so topics we wanted to cover tonight. We don't have all that much time, so we'll try and go through this pretty quick. We wanted to give you an overview of the project and the timeline, talk about the advisory committee, talk about a summary of public outreach that was done in the area recently, talk about opportunities to stay in touch on the project, and then do a brief question and answer. And if you were all here last year, we had a really long question and answer. And we thought maybe a better way to do that this year is if we don't get to you, we don't want to occupy the whole Old Farm General Membership meeting agenda. We've got Post-its in the back on that table, and you can go ahead and put your contact information on there, write your question on that, or just email me and we'll be sure to get back to you. We're probably going to populate a question and answer type of thing to put on the project website, and we'll get to that in a minute. So that's what we're going to do. So just real quick, this is the project area that we're working on. Basically, the goal of the project and the mission is to design a sewer plan for this area and kind of move that forward and implement it through a financially viable plan. And we're trying to develop a process through this that might be used citywide to address other areas in the city that are still served with septic systems. So this area, I just wanted to go through it really quick. It's bordered by 15th, Reed Market, and then the canal, COID Canal. So it's the area just adjacent to the new Southeast Interceptor. It's got about 550 homes, and I know some of you are not in this study area, so hopefully this won't be too boring. Actually, how many people are here that live in that area? Okay, so most everybody. All right. Okay. So the objectives of the project are basically to design a sewer system and then move it forward. And if you want to do one more. And the process, we're using a little bit of a different process than we usually use on an engineering public works process. We're using a lot of public involvement in this process. And we feel that's necessary because this directly affects people's pocketbooks and households. So it's a big deal, so we have a huge investment in public involvement on this, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. So I just wanted to point out that we're not just picking on this area, that citywide there's about 3,100 lots that are still on septic systems. And we made a commitment a few years ago, and I'll talk about that a little more in detail in a minute, to kind of address this issue and start moving people and transitioning them from septic to the sewer system. So if you look, this is the area we're working on first, and that's generally the biggest concentration of those lots. So it made sense to focus on that area first. And the gold lots on that map are pockets of town that are still served with septic. So why are we doing this project? I already talked about the need to move people up from septic to sewer. They're in your project area, in our study area. There's a huge amount of lots that are failing. They have failing systems. The Southeast Interceptor will make sewer available close by. We'd like to work with property owners to address failing septic systems and provide long-term certainty to them. You probably all know your septic system requires maintenance and continual upgrades. A lot of people have replaced their system, but they might have a failing drain field and they have no alternative anymore. So we're trying to be proactive and help people do this in a comprehensive way. This will also avoid piecemeal connections to the city sewer by doing this in a comprehensive manner. We're doing this project also in part to meet state regulations and goals to protect groundwater. And in kind of doing this, in 2014, the City Council made a decision to put aside $1 million a year, starting this past July, towards this type of project. And so this movement to kind of transition people from septic to sewer has been thought about for a long time, and we've been planning to do it. It's not something that we just woke up and decided to do. So this is the project team. I introduced some of the folks that are here tonight. We've got the city. We've also got an advisory committee, which Beth is going to talk a little bit about in a minute. And then our consulting team is Dow doing the engineering and public involvement. HDR is working on the engineering and finance with us. And then Barney and Morris is a firm that's facilitating the advisory committee meetings. And we started with this project in June of this year. So where are we in the project? As I said, we just basically started. So we've got monthly advisory committee meetings, and that will go for probably another year. We've wrapped up door-to-door outreach. Were you all contacted? How about a show of hands from people that were contacted by Ron Hand or his folks? Okay, we did a concerted effort, and he's going to talk a little bit about the results from that outreach. So we're done with that. We're doing engineering right now, and we have a pretty good engineering design moving forward. You've probably seen all the utility companies out in the neighborhood, and then the surveying work has been being completed. We'll be doing some cost estimates and things now through May of next year, and then we're going to be bringing some financial strategies to council starting probably next summer. And what those may look like is some sort of cost-sharing scenario between property owners and the city is what we're envisioning. And that's guided all along the way by the top thing, the advisory committee input. So with that, I'm going to give it to Beth Ann Bignase, who's the chair of the advisory committee.
And Scott Johnson.
Hi, I'm Beth Ann Bignase. I am the chair of the Septic to Sewer Committee. We started in June. A little bit about me, I do not live in the affected area. I live in Larkspur off of 27th and Clairway, so I actually watched the entire Southeast Interceptor go in this summer, which was pretty fun to watch, which is why I got involved in this. Watching it out in my backyard was really interesting, and my background is I'm an Army finance officer. I got out in 2013, and after being in the Army for a few years, I worked on big budget stuff, so I thought maybe my skills would have a little bit of asset here working on this group. I just finished my master's degree in June and started with this committee. I'll introduce here Scott Johnson. Let me give a little of his background.
Hi, real briefly, my name's Scott Johnson, and so I'm the vice chair of the advisory committee. I've lived in Bend for 24 years, all of that time in the Old Farm neighborhood. So I live over on King Hezekiah, and I've been one of those people in the community that's been pushing for this, advocating for the city to give this great attention. So very supportive of the project, very supportive of community involvement in the project.
So a little bit about our committee. There are 12 members representing Southeast Bend, Larkspur, and Old Farm District neighborhoods. 10 of the advisory community members live in the project area. 5 members are engineers. 4 of us have healthcare backgrounds, and we're meeting monthly, every first Thursday of every month. And we've been going over, we did a study area, was one of our first meetings where we saw all the affected areas, and they took us around to kind of have a field trip, and then we've been working on financing strategies and talking about that and preliminary engineering, and every month is another agenda, I think, or.
We
The
have that
committee,
at
when
the
we
end.
first got together, we all sat down and we shared our values of what we wanted to make sure happened. And as the chair, I wanted to share our values with you guys so that you know what we're focused on. We're focused on a solution so that people don't suffer financially. We're focused on work that gets done soon, as we know this has been something that's been hanging out there for a long time and people want answers. We're working on a solution that is a shared responsibility to the problems, and that solutions that are good for the next 100+ years. Really future focused on this. And that's the rest of my piece.
I'll switch with you.
Sorry, go
I
ahead.
just have a quick question. So if there's someone outside of our house taking pictures, which I've actually shared with my good friend here, we live in this neighborhood, should I not be worried about that? Is this because of this project?
I would tell you that I'm not sure that anyone we've assigned to taking pictures, so.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay.
that-
We do have surveyors out on the street. You'll see a lot of new paint in some of the neighborhoods, different color paint, and different color utilities under the ground, but we haven't assigned anyone to taking pictures.
It might be like a Zillow or a Realtor type person,
Right,
because I've seen that
okay.
in my neighborhood too. Like,
I just wanted to know.
Okay,
Thank you.
yes.
May I ask what the elbow is there in the middle of that whole mass?
Yep, you can. So my name's Ron Hand. I work with Dell. I've been in touch with many of you. We actually did a campaign to reach out to approximately 550 homes here. That elbow in the middle of the mass is basically Orion and Avery Drive, and they are already connected to a city sewer system. So they are not within the project air study area. So in our outreach, we came to everybody's home within that study area a maximum of 3 times. If you weren't there the first time, we came back, a second time, and the third time we left door hangers that hopefully everybody got. I know that we're not perfect, but our intent was to get to everybody's door. We left an opinionaire at the end of that, and we've actually collected over 200 of those opinionaires back, which gives us a rating of about over 33% of people communicating back to us. We've had many questions and responses, and it's been great, so thank you for that. These are the questions that came back as most important to folks. They range from cost of homeowners, rules for hooking up, when we might do this, what are our financing options, all the way down to the reasons for the sewer, which Susanna covered earlier. So our outreach was extensive and we got a great response. By the way, we have more opinionaires in the back. If for some reason you didn't get one and still care to fill one out, you can grab one off the table in the back, as well as they're available online on the website. Yep. During the course of you can go to the next one. What we found out about this is that from the respondees, or responders, we found out that most people feel that they don't have a problem with their septic today. However, and we'll go on to, no, go ahead, that's fine. What we also heard is a number of people saying we don't need it, so therefore we don't want it. And conversely, we heard we need it now, how soon can you get to us? So there was a wide range, again, of responses in this. So what we learned though, in our part of our study that is outside of visiting you all, we're going to the county's website and we're viewing applications for septic over the years. And we've learned that in this particular area that over 35% of the septic tanks are 30 years old. And that's, basically that's a long life. We've also learned that over 20 years, in the past 20 years, there have been permits for 50%. So again, it's a long time that these systems have been online. I'm not challenging anybody's ability to take care of them. Some people do a great job and the lifespans will be longer. But this is what we're tracking, is the longevity of some of these things. So go ahead, one more. The things that came up most often in terms of your comments, your questions, were what's the cost going to be to the homeowners, and when, why, and do we have to hook up? So these are the things that this committee is studying today. But those are the focuses. And the other thing that we heard back, we also asked for recommendations. And the number one recommendation was please stay in touch with us. So on that note, I'm happy to tell you that our first newsletter is out. There's a copy of it on the back table. We'll also be mailing them out. We've kind of summarized some of what I've just said. There's a few more bits of information on there and where we're going. And Susanna's going to finish this by telling you a little bit more about the committee, the schedule. And again, we want to encourage you all as public to be involved. You can visit the website anytime you want to. That information is in many places in this room, as well as be aware that the first Thursday of each month, the Citizen Advisory Committee is meeting, and you are invited to those meetings. They're not closed by any means. Thank you.
Okay, just to wrap up, we do have it's getting more robust, the project website. So it's bendoregon.gov/septic to sewer. So we're trying to be really transparent. We've got maps, links to maps and stuff like that. It's not showing up. I know this is a terrible graphic, but I couldn't pull up the internet here, so to show you. We've got all the meeting agendas and everything, and there's lots of good material there. If you read anything and you have any questions, just feel free to give me an email or a call. And we've got phone numbers. If you don't live in this project area, I get a lot of calls from people that live elsewhere and they're on septic. The best thing you can do, because I don't have access to all the sewer maps and things, is to call the Community Development Department down here, and they can help you figure out your situation. What we found out working on this project definitely is that everybody's property has a different thing going on with it, whether it's a failing system where there's tweaks you can make to it, there's things you can do to prolong the life, and some of them are, there's a sewer right there, and there's all kinds of different things with topography and the amount of rock in your drain field, and so it's really a good idea to give CDD a call and get some information about your property. Let's see, what else? Okay, so these are just sort of the key takeaways, and we talked about these all before. I see a question from Frank in the back. Okay.
He said the meetings are the first Thursday of the month. Where?
Oh, okay. First Thursday of the month, thank you, from 4 to 6 down at City Hall in the City Council chambers. And yeah, you can look online and see the agenda ahead of time, and you can look back at what we've been working on. The next meeting, I think, is going to focus on affordability, starting to talk about what that means, and we're also going to be talking about some interim policies for people that maybe have systems that are on the brink of failure, but this project, I mean, construction of the sewer is going to be several years off. I'm not going to, arrange between